Hello and welcome to the Naysayer. Today we're going to take a look at the essay Why We Need to Start Seeing the Classical World in Color by Sarah E. Bond. In essence, Ms. Bond laments the fact that the public perception of the classical world is mostly shaped through white marble statues, and that the fact that most people see these statues as white gives the white supremacists more power or something. It's not entirely clear, mostly because Miss Bond quickly devolves into a bit of a rant about race and the classical world, and, well, everyone's racist, pretty much. So, let's take a look at a few choice quotes from her. To many, the pristine whiteness of marble statues is the expectation and thus the classical ideal. But the equation of white marble with beauty is not an inherent truth of the universe. Where this standard came from and how it continues to influence white supremacist ideas today are often ignored. Well, while it is true that white marble and beauty are not inherently on a physical level connected, it is true that most of the classical sculptors like Donatello or Michelangelo only knew them as white because, well, they are white. The technology to find out the minuscule specks of paint that are left on the marble after more than 2000 years is quite recent, and so they never painted their statues because that would be an affront to the old masters. And so they made their statues white. Not because they were inherently racist and wanted to kill all those blacks or something. And so it became the modern standard, because we've got quite a few statues that are white and have never been painted. But that explanation would require a bit of thinking, and we can't really expect that of someone who makes her money by being racist and wants to diversify and recolor the classical world, which, by the way, I'm not opposed to. I think we should acknowledge that the statues were painted in the original, but why do you need to cry white supremacy? That does not make much sense, but I'm just a white male, so I'm probably part of the white supremacy. She then goes on a bit of a discourse on how the classical art has been corrupted by the white supremacist racists of the early 20th century, and gives us my favorite quote of this entire thing. It also continues to buttress the false construction of Western civilization as white by politicians like Steve King. Well, I don't know who Mr. King is, but I'm not really sure he is a Nazi or white supremacist, as they call it, simply because the radical left calls everyone white supremacist, And so that world has lost every meaning, really. But I digress. It also continues to buttress the false construction of Western civilization as white. Well, it is white, really. Most of the great thinkers and builders of white civilization and of secular Western values were white. You might say all of them were white. Simply because there weren't so many people of color in Europe at the time, and even now there aren't that many. But that statement was probably racist. So yeah, Western civilization is obviously not white. Everyone who says that is racist, and as it is standard for all modern journalism and reporting, she's also quoted a little tweet by an organization called Identity Europe, which you should have on your screen right now if I wasn't too lazy. It's a poster on a pole or something in a city with a classical statue on it and protect your heritage, which really doesn't make her case stronger for the whole white supremacy thing, because if I were to see an organization telling me we need to put that they are going to protect my heritage and thus my culture and the values of our culture, which isn't inherently a bad thing if you're not mad and have an utter hatred for yourself and for the country you live in. But that was probably a racist argument from me. But I feel that I'm rambling, so let's call it a part here, and I'll see you again tomorrow with another part of the madness that has become academia. If you like it, please share and subscribe, and I see you soon. Goodbye.